Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 36 of a Disney Life podcast. This is a place where friends, new and old, can come together to share in our Disney travel experiences. My name is Rachel, and I'm joined here by my co host, Missy. Hi, Missy.
Hello, Rachel, and hello, Disney listener friends. It's good to have you all here with us today.
So, several episodes ago, we did a tribute episode to Dino Land USA, which by the time that this episode airs will be officially and permanently closed. So, we thought we would build on that episode and go through another land at Walt Disney World, a land that hopefully will not be closing anytime soon. And we will be talking about New Fantasyland today. So, stay tuned and we'll get right into it.
Getting right into things here with our new Fantasyland talk. So, if you're listening and you're thinking, what on earth is new Fantasyland? I guess it's really not correct to call it new Fantasyland anymore. But for the purpose of today's podcast, we're going to be talking about what once was known as New Fantasyland. So, back when the Magic Kingdom first opened back in 1971, there was a Fantasyland area of the Magic Kingdom Park. But back in 2009 at a D23 Expo, it was announced that we were going to have a new addition added on to the Fantasyland area of the Magic Kingdom in Orlando. And that was to be known as New Fantasyland. So New Fantasyland opened in phases, but the first big opening, the main part of it, opened in 2012. So since then, it's kind of faded away, the name New Fantasyland. I'm not entirely sure when that dropped off because when Rachel and I originally started chatting about what we wanted this episode today to be like, we were laughing about the fact that it was called New Fantasyland. And upon a little bit of research, discovered it's no longer New Fantasyland. So joke's on us,
Yeah.
first of all. We typically really keep up with what's going on, go to Magic Kingdom many times a year, but I guess we're not really looking at the park map to see what Disney's distinguishing these things.
We are the park map, so we don't need
We
to look at
That's right.
what.
So I would say, thinking of New Fantasyland area, in order to make this, they really kind of changed some things up in that area of the park. If you visited the park prior to that time, you may remember the original Dumbo, which was just the one Dumbo spinner ride and was located in a slightly different area than where it is now. I love that one of the major things they did was add a second spinner. And when I say a spinner, I mean an entire second ride. They're just duplicated, mirrored of each other, spinning side by side there in this area of the park, which really just doubled capacity for the ride. At first, I kind of thought it was strange, but it really did make perfect sense because you could only put so many people on a ride like this, limited space in the cars. And of course, you don't want to be shortening down the length of time that they're riding. So, a great way to increase that capacity was to add that separate spinner on there. So, when I think of that expansion, that's one of the first things that I think about.
Yeah, and this area, so where the expansion is that particular expansion is located is known as Storybook Circus. So this area opened March of 2012. So this was one of the earlier phases to open. And the Barnstormer, which was already there, it just kind of moved over. Well, I shouldn't say move. They just kind of now call it part of Storybook Circus. So that is the coaster featuring the Great Goofini. That's a great introduction coaster for your children as it's a very mild roller coaster that's also located in that area. I love the way that the new Dumbo looks, just the big tent type feel of it, that it really does play on the circus. And then, of course, you have the Casey Jr. Splash and Soak Station. I have let my kids loose in there plenty of times, and they absolutely love going in there. And there's a bathroom located right behind that, which is great to get them dried off afterwards. We always bring a change of clothes with us. And then you also have the redone Fantasyland train station is located over there too.
All right. So, going back to Dumbo, this was something that one of the big things about the expansion was Disney was trying different things with their waiting system back at that point. So they started implementing interactive queues. We saw an end to that to some point in 2020 when they no longer wanted guests touching and playing with things. But I can remember back at the time they did an update to the queue for the Winnie the Pooh ride as well, so that there were some interactive things, some games to play in the line, and some instruments. But what they did over at Dumbo was really special because they had this giant big top there. And for part of your waiting experience, you're waiting inside a giant play area for the kids to run around and play. And your party is given a buzzer that will go off to let you know when it's your time to line up and go to the outside area to get ready to board on your elephant. So I thought that was a really neat idea. It certainly helps to keep you out of the shade. And quite honestly, it's been so long since I've ridden Dumbo that I don't even know if they do that anymore. Do you know, Rachel? Is that still a thing?
We've never been offered a buzzer, but we've never also had to wait where we weren't already under the cover either. So, last time we went through the line, yes, they could have gone into that play area, but
Okay.
we did not, and we just kind of went on through the line that they will the cast there is a cast member station there who will divide you, either tell you go right or left to one of the 2 loading areas for the 2 different, actual rides. But, yeah, we've never been asked, "Hey, do you wanna go play in there?" We've never had to wait past that point in years past, and, I don't as great of an idea that it is, and I love that there's a little playground in there for kids, I wonder if it's kind of obsolete at this point, even have that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It worked really well. We loved it at the time and definitely utilized it a few times because my kids were an ideal age back then for it. I will be checking that out then this month when I am at the Magic Kingdom because I'm quite curious. And I believe that's a ride that I have not had the 4 grandparents in my family on before. So I think that'll be a fun
That'll be
little thing. We're going to kind of do the rides that aren't the thrill rides this time around because we don't have any of the young kiddos in our group that wanted to do that last time. So that'll be fun. And I will definitely research that and share my experiences with you all once I get back from that trip. But if that's still a thing, I think it's an excellent thing because it just is a great place for the kids to burn off some steam and to get out of the heat as well. So you mentioned Barnstormer. So the Barnstormer does have a height requirement of 35 inches. It's a pretty mild family oriented coaster. So it is a great option if you have a younger rider who has never been on a roller coaster before. It's a great one to start with because it's not quite as intense as the other coasters that you'll have there at Walt Disney World. So it's a lot of fun. And I guess
Mhm.
it's Goofy's homemade planes, right? Is
Yeah.
that the whole premise of it? And yeah.
You go up and, I mean, it makes sense, you kinda glide in large circles down, so, there's not a lot of hills or anything, you're just kind of it's kind of a slow descent down, not too intense. But for my 3 children, that was their first introductions to roller coasters. Like I said, it's a good one to see because it's not very long, so how will your children react before you get on something like Slinky Dog, which is a little bit longer, a little bit more intense, but still also fun and very family friendly.
One thing to keep in mind is if you're visiting this area of the park during the evening around fireworks time, there are some rides and attractions in the Fantasyland area that do get closed down because of the fireworks and just the safety concern there to make sure everybody's not in too close of proximity to the area where the fireworks, some of them are shot off from. I believe the Storybook Circus area back there is safe from that, though, unless there's something particular happening with the weather or the winds that day. I think those rides remain open during the fireworks. So that could be a fun time to ride them also with very little wait. And I mean, soaring around in the sky on
Mhm.
Dumbo while fireworks are going off, and you can see that in the pretty close distance there with the castle. That's a pretty magical thing. So even if you aren't a kiddo yourself, this area of the park is a land of fantasy and a lot of fun. So I do encourage you to get back there. I feel like it's not a very high traffic area at all. It's kind of off a little bit to the back there, and I just don't think it's ever too super crowded. So And like Rachel mentioned, there is a restroom back there too, and it's a nice size
Mhm.
restroom as well. So I'm always on the lookout for those, especially when traveling with a big family of people. So that's not the headliner though for this whole area. So the main part of what we're calling New Fantasyland for today's episode is still one of the most popular rides in the Magic Kingdom. It's a ride that requires a Lightning Lane single pass if you want to ride it, or a pretty long standby line. It's a ride that you will see people rope dropping and rushing to every single day of the year. And that is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So, what are your thoughts on that ride, Rachel?
I think Disney did a great job building another very family-friendly attraction. I love that the carts move side to side as you are going on the attraction, that
Right.
adds
So
more.
as you're obviously it's moving, but it's
Yeah,
swaying side to side, like
yeah,
you're kind of rocking back and
yeah,
forth as you're moving forward, which is a
right.
lot of fun.
It is, and it's a gentle rock, so it's not anything that's too intense for your family. I also love when you're going up the big hill and you go into the mine and you see the 7 dwarfs there and they're singing and they're mining for their gems. That's also another that's probably my favorite part of the whole ride anyways. It's just a nice part of Imagineering that they added that to that. But yes, it is a very, very, very popular attraction. It's actually not one that I do every single trip. I'm not going to buy the lightning lane for it every single time. And unless we can catch it with a low wait, we typically don't wait in the very long line. Although I do think it's good. It's also not one that I'm willing to wait for too.
And it's another option that you could ride during the evening with a lesser
Mhm.
wait. I've definitely been there at the time that it's just about park closing time. Fireworks are about to begin, and it'll often say the wait is 45, 50 minutes, but it doesn't usually take that long. You also have a pretty long queue area because of how popular it is, and there are some interactive things in that. And I think when you're riding it late at night, a lot of your wait is actually just crisscrossing, winding around through, I guess you would call it a mountain or a mine that you're
Yeah, I
inside
don't
there
know.
at this point.
You go into a cave at some point.
Right.
So
So, and that's another fun one. I've definitely been on there before when the fireworks were going off, and it almost feels like something that you would see in a commercial. As you're
yeah.
winding around the hills on that ride, you can't help but smile a big open mouth grin as you're cruising along there. So, again, it's not a ride I ride every time either, but then when I do ride it from time to time, I appreciate what it is and think it's no wonder this brand new ride is already 13 years old or whatever it is at this point.
Yeah, it'll be turning 12 in
Or
May, 12
oh,
years old in May, yeah.
okay, and, it's, it's still a lot of fun, so
Yes, and also with this attraction too, if you have Memory Maker, this they will actually create a little video for you on this attraction, and, that's a fun keepsake for your family to have, and you'll actually see video. They are able to track you through Disney's technology, and you'll be able to see video of your family riding at certain points along the attraction. So that's something fun to watch out for too. That'll show up on your app not long after you've gotten off of the attraction.
absolutely, and keep in mind, even if you don't have Memory Maker, if you have purchased Lightning Lane for that ride, you will get that complimentary, Memory Maker item in your My Disney Experience app, so even if you haven't purchased the Memory Maker and you want that video, you can still download it. So, now not too far from Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, but off in the distance, you can see something very special. It is the second castle of the Magic Kingdom. And that is the Beast Castle, which is far off on a hill, but also includes a restaurant. So,
Mhm.
housed inside of that castle, we have the Be Our Guest restaurant, which it was and still is the big addition to New Fantasyland as far as food is concerned. It was the only table service restaurant added with that part of the expansion. And I gotta say, I loved it a lot more when it was newer because I feel like it was more obtainable by more people back then. They used to have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner option with, I think, breakfast and lunch at the time were both a quick service
Mhm.
option, and then the dinner was table service. As far as I know, there's no more breakfast there. And the lunch and dinner are fixed price table service meals that are pretty pricey. You'll be paying
Yeah.
$72 per adult and then $43 per child, and that's age 10 plus. or 10, under 10, 3 to 9 is a child, and then 10 plus is the $72 considered adults. Not an inexpensive meal there. And I think it's just underutilized a bit now because it gave more guests the opportunity to get in there and experience being inside the big ballroom and the West Wing there. And what was the third room? I guess it was the room with the robes
Let's see,
in
the
it,
West
right?
Wing, there's a gallery also, what they call a
Uh-huh.
gallery, and then the ballroom where they dance, and the West Wing where the Rose is, so, yeah, it's a very well-themed restaurant, and it is massive, it really is, it just kinda keeps going and going and going. Never had breakfast there, we had lunch there a couple of times. It was very difficult to get in for lunch. If I remember correctly, you had to have dining reservations even for a quick service lunch
Yeah,
for a
they did quick
while.
service reservations. Yeah, for breakfast as well. I feel like I remember that being a thing, and I know I did it several times. It definitely was not just a walk up quick service mobile order type thing. It was a little more complicated than that due to its popularity. But I'm
Mhm.
sad that the breakfast is gone. I think we could really use some more solid breakfast options in the Magic Kingdom, and this is such an ideal place to have it. But I'm sure they have their reasons for
Yeah.
not continuing it that way. We actually, I would say, one of the least impressive Disney dining experiences I ever had was at Be Our Guest when it
Oh,
first
no.
opened. We were kind of just set up for disaster from the beginning, and it was just an off night. It was brand new at the time. There was no sheltered area from the weather, and it started to downpour. And the way they did it at the time is you checked in quite a ways out and you were held out there along the pathway before you were allowed near the restaurant. And they refused to let anyone wait right in front of the restaurant, which was all an entirely covered area, or inside the whole vestibule area where the bathrooms are for the restaurant. And we were so, like I'm saying, soaking wet to the point that I got in there, and before they let me sit in my seat, they told me they needed to get me a plastic bag to sit on so I
Oh,
didn't
no.
ruin their chair. Now, the kids were pretty young at this point, and luckily I had a change of clothes for them in my backpack, but I'm not someone who normally needs a change of clothes yet,
Right.
thank God.
Yeah.
So I just sat there all wet, and then Annie ended up becoming ill right on her plate in the middle of dinner because
Oh,
she did not
no.
like the taste of her fish, and it was a bad experience. So we had said we were never going back there, and then a year or so later we made it back and tried the breakfast and lunch, and we loved those options. So it was all redeemed for us, and we put that behind. So I'm sad that the breakfast is no longer an option and that the lunch is the way it is at this point because I like to have a little bit more of an affordable option for
Mhm.
families, and this is not.
Yeah, I fully admit since they took the breakfast and lunch option away, I have not been. I have never had dinner there, so I can't speak from personal experience about how the dinner option is. Now the Beast does make an appearance there, but it is not like a traditional character meal whatsoever.
Right.
So I think it's a little expensive for what it is personally.
Mhm.
And my son is turning 10 this year and he will not eat $72 worth of food at a sitting. So that's just not going to be an option.
And I guess every family goes in phases with that. So for some, it may work excellent, but and I would try it again someday, but it's not at the top of the list like it was at one time. But what is on the top of the list is a quick service option that's around there, not too far away, and that is Gaston's Tavern, where they sell the very popular LeFou's brew. So, are you a fan of that, Rachel?
Yeah, I've had it a few times. It is good. It's not something that I get every single trip, but, if the kids are wanting it or even my husband, we usually go get there.
If you haven't had it before, it's like a frozen apple juice type drink. And it has a little bit of a toasted marshmallow flavor to it. So it's a pretty sweet frozen drink. They also have, I think the highlight there is the gray stuffed cupcake. Because if you don't want to spend the money to go inside, be our guest, at least you can get the very fun gray stuff. Of course, this is taken off of Try the Gray Stuff, It's Delicious from Be Our Guest, the song from Beauty and the Beast. So the Gray Stuff Cupcake is there. They have a giant warm cinnamon roll and then also a creme brulee croissant and a ham and Gruyere sandwich as well. If we keep going down the path, it's
Yeah.
called Prince Eric's Village Market. And they
Okay.
have soft pretzels and turkey legs there. So that's going to be just a little further down into this new Fantasyland area. across from what do we call the Little Mermaid, or Under the Seas: The Journey
Mhm.
of the Little Mermaid. That's the official name of the ride. So we can chat about that next because that's why we're switching to Prince Eric as our theme here for the turkey leg stand.
But LeFau's Brew, I think this was kind of Disney's answer to, butterbeer in a
Mm,
sense, because this all kind of came out once the Wizarding World started
right
opening
at that
up.
same time. Yeah, good point on that. I hadn't
So,
thought
I
of that.
think this was their answer. Yeah, I prefer butterbeer.
Yeah, it
LeFau's
definitely
Brew is
did not take off in the same way that
no.
butterbeer did, but
Not at all, and we do have somewhere that you could get a souvenir mug from the Tavern with LeFau's Brew in it. We have one of those somewhere, but and then there's the, statue of Gaston and LeFau out in the front, and we always get a picture of my so I joke with my husband that I married Gaston, and we get his picture out there in front of it several times. Good guy, Gaston, but, so
that's funny. My husband calls your husband Zac Efron because he can't ever remember his name. So, but we can go with Gaston as well. So we
yes,
can.
that's
I'll reprogram my husband if that works better for your family. So. Under the Seas, The Journey of the Little Mermaid is a super cute ride. It's not scary, but where you enter it again, you're going through a series of caves to get to the underwater area where Ariel and her friends are. So it's a little bit dark and usually pretty cool in there. It's cooler
yeah.
in there most of the time than it is outside in the sun. So, a good place to take a little bit of refuge from the heat and the sun if you're there on a hot day. These you ride in like a clam mobile, which is a similar ride vehicle to what you have over there at the Haunted Mansion with their doom buggies. It's a continual moving ride vehicle that you walk along. I can't think of the word, the platform, the moving platform. And
But
that
yeah, the
is,
moving platform, yep. Same
yep,
and also moving platform, yep. It's a
like a
continuous
conveyor
motion.
belt. Conveyor
It is
is
a
the word.
continuous motion attraction.
Yes. You board that. You could usually fit 2 to 3 people, maybe 4, depending on the sizes of your family, if you have some little kids, so to squeeze between you. And you get to see some animatronic favorites from The Little Mermaid, including Ursula. She's in there, but she won't hurt you. You'll be okay. So
This is also a very long queue. It's extremely long. When it first opened, the ride would be backed up quite a bit. There are some interactive elements once you kind of start going into the underground cave, the cave to get onto your clamshell that they've put in. But yeah, it's a very, very, very long queue. When you're walking with small children who have little legs, it seems even longer. But because of the continuous motion, it's a lot also kind of like with Finding Nemo over at Epcot, where you
Mhm.
have a long queue and then you don't have a very long wait once you get to it because it takes everyone so long just to walk through. Similar story here, but I love this one. Little Mermaid is my favorite Disney movie. Ariel's my favorite princess. So I was really excited when this opened up when I was, 26 years old. So I still enjoy it.
And even more exciting than just riding through the sea with Ariel is a meeting her in her grotto next door. So Ariel is there through almost all of the day, doing a meet and greet with guests. So that's something you can just show up for and get in the line and see Ariel right there. So I'm sure that's something you love as well, with it being your favorite.
Of course, and this is based on the 1989 Little Mermaid. Now, the live action Little Mermaid, was at Hollywood Studios. I know that they moved her location. I believe that you can still meet her over there from the live action film, but that would not be the same. This one is based on the 1989 cartoon that you will find at the Magic Kingdom.
And then, as we touched base on earlier, we do have Prince Eric's Village Market where they have some soft pretzels and turkey legs right across the pathway from this aerial ride and aerial meet and greet. So that's pretty easy to find also, and a good place to get a snack in that area of the park. Now, I did skip something back in our whole Beauty and the Beast area.
Yeah.
Did you catch what that was, Rachel? Do you know what
I
failed
sure
to
did.
mention?
Yeah, so Enchanted Tales with Belle is
Yeah.
located over there. And this is a show, it's an interactive show. So it is something that you walk through, and people in your group, and by the group, I mean all the other guests too that you may or may not know, they will be given different roles to interact with Belle as she comes and and you hear a story about her. So there is a meet and greet in Maurice's cottage. And that I like that area. I thought they did a fantastic job with that. And there is actually a spot if you look over on one of the walls where it looks like where Maurice has marked Belle's height over the
Her
years, I
height,
thought that was
yes,
a nice
that's
little
so
touch.
cute. That was such a
Yeah,
sweet
and
touch, yes.
yes, it really was, and then you enter through kind of a magic portal and go and explore, the home. You're greeted by Lumiere there, you go to the magic mirror, and Belle tells the classic story of the film, and you have the audience members to help tell that story.
I think that is such an underrated attraction because for little kiddos to be able to be in there holding hands with a princess, if you're chosen to take part in that, acting out the scenes. And of course, you don't need to be worried about them choosing you if it's not something you want to do. Of course, they're going to look for people who are excited and raising their hand and wanting to participate. But if you have a little one or even yourself, adults are certainly included. I have had roles in this performance myself. And it's so much fun. So I definitely encourage you, if you haven't experienced Enchanted Tales with Belle before, go ahead and give it a try. There's not usually a really long wait, and it's a super cute way to tell the story of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, and even get a picture with Belle afterwards, which is also special too. This is a nice way to have a meet and greet because you do get the show beforehand and then a quick photo with Belle and then you're on your way. But yeah, it's really fun. They get dads involved a lot too as the guards. So there's, no limit to who could be involved. Where some other shows focus on children participation, this does really go for the entire range of guests that could be there.
And the photo that's taken is a Disney PhotoPass photographer. So again, if you have Memory Maker, that will be included with that. There is also a gift shop over there by Gaston's Tavern. That is Bonjour Village Gifts, and they have some pretty sweet little French inspired items in there and Beauty and the Beast items in that shop. So little things you don't normally see anywhere else in the park, I think you can pick up in there. So if you're a Beauty and the Beast fan, definitely worth swinging by that.
There's a bathroom back there too. This is that whole area right there where the tavern is, the bathrooms, that gift shop. It's actually a really nice quiet spot to go if you need just a quiet place to kind of sit and relax for a little while because you're kind of at a dead end spot and not a lot of people venture all the way back there throughout the day. So it's
Mhm.
usually not very busy every single time that I go. Gaston's Tavern is going to be busier in the morning. A lot of people like to go there and grab breakfast with the giant cinnamon rolls or the croissants that are located inside. But other than that, there's not really tables for anybody to sit outside. It just gets kind of quiet throughout the day. So if you are looking for a nice quiet spot to take your family or a nice bathroom that's not doesn't see a lot of foot traffic, that's a great area to go to. And a lot of times even the store, it's hard to even tell if it's open. Have you ever noticed that?
Like, am I supposed to open this door and go in there or no? Yeah. Or is that just a facade and it's a cast area? Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're unsure. And
Yeah.
like you said, there's not really a ton of seating there. There are a few small tables just outside of the tavern. Inside, you can actually sit in Gaston's large armchair. It's a fun photo opportunity by his fireplace there. And they were not kidding when they said uses antlers in all of his decorating because there are a lot of antlers on display inside Gaston's Tavern also. So
Yes.
it's a very well themed area. They portrayed everything very well in there as
It
usual.
absolutely is. So, another area that is technically part of the new Fantasyland expansion, which you may not realize it though, is Princess Fairy Tale Hall. This opened in 2013, where Disney reimagined some areas that they already had built. So, at Princess Royal Hall, you can meet Disney princesses. There are four princesses you can meet, but there are two separate attraction lines. So, this is in the castle courtyard in the center of Fantasyland. There's a castle-like entrance to it, and there's walls of stone, stained glass, a large gallery, and then you go in and you meet the princesses. And typically, Aurora, Cinderella, Tiana, or Rapunzel will be available to meet there, but they will actually have photos of the princesses above their queue entrances, so you know which princesses you will go meet. Because, like I said, there are four princesses that will be there, but they are meet up two and two.
And another meet and greet in the new Fantasyland area is over in the Storybook Circus area where we mentioned earlier, where you have Pete's silly sideshow characters. And Disney describes this as a place to meet daring Disney pals dressed as circus stars. I believe it's currently Donald and Goofy there. I don't know if they're currently in their daring attire or not. They have some different costumes there from time to time and it changes up. That's an area right next to the big is it Big Top Souvenirs? Is that what that's still called there? Which is a giant
Yeah.
store. And not only do they have all of the standard Disney merch in there, but they're kind of a hidden gem for using snack credits if you're using the Disney dining plan, because the center of the Big Top is a large counter area with some pretty amazing sweets.
Yeah.
All kinds of things there, different cookies and cupcakes and Rice
Apples.
Krispie treats, hand-dipped apples, all kinds of things there. I can remember being there one year when we had a split stay and had the dining plan just with the first half because we knew it was hard to keep up with eating all the food that was included, and we had so many snack credits left, that we decided we were just gonna go there and get whatever we could and snack on it for the rest of the week. So that's a great place to go make use of those snack credits, which I feel that's probably a future top 5 for us, the best place to use snack credits.
I think that's a good idea.
Let's make a note of that. We'll tackle that one of these days, and I can guarantee you Storybook Treats is on my list, so spoiler alert there with that top 5, but it's not too far from the bathrooms and what Rachel kind of breezed by mentioning earlier, the Fantasyland entrance for the Walt Disney World Railroad. So when the park is in full operational mode, the railroad does a lap around the entire scenic Magic Kingdom, but right now we have a whole lot of construction happening over in the Frontierland area, and the train cannot go all the way around. So what is it doing? Like one way? So just like going back and forth? I
I
don't know
have
what
no
it's
idea
doing.
what it's doing currently. That might be something to explore
It's
also
doing some
next
kind
month.
of modified something. So if it's not making a whole loop, it's got to just be going back and forth one like.
That's interesting. I know when all of this took place, so this, there was expansion, then with Tron and everything that they just had,
Mhm.
the train was not running, and you could go and see the train at the Main Street station. That was
Mhm.
nice. At that point in time, my oldest was super into trains, so we got some really cute pictures of him standing in front of the train, but I don't know what they are currently doing. It's not something that we looked into in our November trip, so we'll have to look into that and see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm actually making a list because my oldest also, meaning my father, is very interested in the railroad. So I think that's something we'll be checking out on our trip this month also because I'm quite curious to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there is an experience there that I have not participated in, and it's kind of funny to even see it listed in the My Disney Experience app. And that is the Smellephants on Parade by Scent experience. Do you even know what that is? Because I didn't even realize it was a real thing until I was like just looking a little bit up online to make sure I wasn't missing any attractions here in this area for our chat today. And I discovered this. So I'll tell you what it says. Did you know that so it's like Scentsy, the like scent warmer, can't like
Yeah,
candle
yeah, this is
company?
pretty
Okay.
new, isn't it? Isn't it fairly new that
I
they
don't
did
know.
this?
I
Okay,
guess this is the newest
I
thing
think
at
it is.
Fantasyland. So from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., when you enter Storybook Circus, you can see a casting call posted by Timothy Q. Mouse. He's seeking a what are they? A whiff assistant. So he needs somebody to help him smell to join
And an
Dumbo's
elephant.
newest act. This is a real thing. I'm not making this up. This came right from Disney's website, Rachel. Visit the ticket booth in front of Big Top Souvenirs, and a cast member can provide you with an illustrated map of the land and a sticker sheet to guide you in your new role of Whiffsistant. Find all 8 Smellephant statues scattered around Storybook Circus using the stickers and map to track your progress. Use your nose as a guide and enjoy fragrances that these colorful pachyderms are sporting, including, so spoiler alert, you're going to smell popcorn, churro, cotton candy, and more. So luckily, one of the smells is not elephant smell,
Yeah,
but what a unique
two.
experience. So I guess if you want to kill a little time there, it's similar to some of the festival events over there in Epcot, the different challenges you can do there.
This
Okay.
sounds like a great way to see if you have COVID,
See if you can
if you
smell. Okay.
yeah, if you smell it or not.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So I
Yeah.
have not ever participated in that. I don't think it's going to make my to-do list, but if you're still someone who's interested in Scentsy at this point, then I guess maybe you want to check this out.
I do remember seeing some of the elephants there when during my trip in November, but we didn't check out what it was, and I do like I said, I think this is fairly new that Disney added this
So,
to this area, but, I don't know. There's something about which I know Walt Disney World, the Magic Kingdom especially, pipes incense everywhere. If you are walking down Main
mhm.
Street, you are going to smell baked goods because they are making you smell baked goods. But there's just something about this whole elephant thing that just does not sound appealing to go and, "Do you smell like popcorn?" Like,
Yeah, it's very strange. Now there is actually popcorn nearby too. It's not like an official place on the map for food, but there is a popcorn cart usually right. So it's you can see Dumbo from there. It's right as you're entering underneath the big Storybook Circus arch sign thing. There's usually a popcorn cart there. And times that I have been after a particular type of special limited edition popcorn bucket, that's usually a place that I can find them. So I don't know if it's
"Hmm,
just kind of off the beaten track enough that it's, not one right out on Main Street everybody sees first thing, but there is a popcorn cart there too where you can buy popcorn and or get your bucket refilled. So I don't know. It's real popcorn though, not just a Scentsy
yeah,
scent.
I bet yeah, not elephant smell popcorn."
So I think that is all I had on my list of things that come to mind in our new Fantasyland area. Not new
Yeah,
anymore, but
not new at
still
all,
a lot of
but I
fun,
guess
a lot to
yep.
do. Kids of all ages, young and old, can enjoy this area of Fantasyland. So I guess now, as far as Disney's concerned, it's no longer new. So it's good we're all on the same page there. And this is just a special edition part of Fantasyland. And we're happy that it's there. You never know when they're changing parks. And so I would like to remind everybody who has some hesitation about the expansion happening over on the opposite side of the Magic Kingdom. Disney did a fantastic job with this. Like I said, even everything down to just the takeout counter in Gaston's Tavern is so incredibly themed and right on the story that we want there. So I'm looking forward to see what the next expansion in the Magic Kingdom has to offer for us. I'm very excited as we go through 2026 and hopefully get more information on that. Especially since I've been seeing some rumblings. I don't know if you've seen this or not, Rachel, and I'm just going to go with it, even though it probably isn't what's happening right now. Have you heard talk of a potential Haunted Mansion parlor at the Magic Kingdom?
Yes, I have heard some rumblings of that, which I think would be amazing, and I think that would be the hard to get must do advanced dining reservation for a long time if this comes to fruition because not every family can easily get on a cruise ship for a week to or 5 days on the Disney Destiny or Disney Treasure. So I think this will be a fantastic option for guests who prefer the parks to cruises.
I think it would be, I hate to say a simple thing for them to do, but they did so well with it on Disney Cruise Line that I feel they could basically just copy that and toss it in a park. It's got to be
Yeah.
easier than working with your limited space on a ship, right? Like you have space there. I have seen recently, there's been some construction walls that went up, and in that area, people are saying it's just for the whole Frontierland expansion thing. But I'm just being really hopeful that anything happening near the Haunted Mansion has the potential to someday in the future be a Haunted Mansion parlor. And I feel like maybe our whole reservation system that we're dealing with over at the Beacon Barrel is really just a test run for what we're going to experience over at the Haunted Mansion because I feel like it could work the same exact way and be extremely successful and popular. And I think Disney will do it justice. So that has absolutely nothing to do with New Fantasyland, but we're looking to the future here and begging and pleading with you, Disney, please give us a Haunted Mansion parlor in the parks.
We
We
would
want it.
love that.
We
Yes,
need it.
yes, please do.
We need it.
That would be fun. And I would gladly go with standing room only because I know some tables at Beacon Barrel are only standing tables, so I would happily do that at a Haunted Mansion parlor.
Yes, it's much easier to dance with the ghosts if you don't have a seat in your way.
Right? Right, I'm already up.
We've got all the answers, Disney. Give us a call.
Yeah. New Imagineers, here we are. All right, so that moves us into our top five for the week. So, our top five this week, we will be talking about our top five quick service locations at Walt Disney World. Missy, will you get us started out with your number five?
I will. And my number 5, I'm calling it a quick service, even though I don't think you could actually get a meal there. But what you can get there, I will make a meal. And it's the Cake Bake Shop Bakery, where you can get giant overpriced pieces of cake that are delicious and are very shareable. I love that you can go in there and just see all of the whimsical decor. They change it seasonally. The cakes on display in their glass cases and domes are just absolutely stunning to see. I am so excited to head there again soon. It's become one of our must do's on every trip now, which I really didn't think it would be. There was a time when I heard if you would hear that an outsider was coming in and was going to open one of their locations on Disney, I would turn my nose at you. I was not a fan of that for a while, but I must say that the Cake Bake Shop by Gwendolyn Rogers, I think, fits absolutely beautifully there. I'm sure fans of ESPN Zone do not agree because it's a very, very different experience than what was there previously. I'm hoping maybe we'll get something over on the other end of the boardwalk to kind of fill that big void because that's a huge void now.
Mhm.
Also, the absence of jelly rolls is an even more huge, giant void. I don't see them really ever being able to correct that short of reopening jelly rolls. But the Cake Bake Shop, and I did discover when I was there last summer that they have some adult beverages that you can get to go from there, including an espresso martini. And that was a very tasty treat for me. I was staying at Beach Club, took a stroll over in the evening. I got myself a piece of cake and a chocolate martini to go, or espresso martini, I guess it was. I don't know. It was super sweet and really delicious in a to go cup, and it was sparkly and it tasted really good. They have cute little Cake Bake Shop tote bags and also little soft coolers. Now, it's not like you're buying a Yeti cooler that's going to keep your stuff cold for days or even hours, but it's like a lined little lunchbox type cooler thing. And it's so cute because it's like the cream and sparkly gold lettering on it, like all the things that the Cake Bake Shop are. Yep. Cake. That's my number 5 on my quick service list.
Okay, wow. Well, that's not the direction I went with that.
Nope. What do you got?
Well, my number 5 is actually Sunshine Seasons, which is located
Mm.
inside of the Land Pavilion. That is downstairs. You enter into the Land Pavilion from the upper floor. And this used to be a breakfast, lunch, and dinner location. It is now breakfast and lunch only, but I love the location. This is fantastic if you have children who are not tall enough to ride soaring. I always recommend go on the land and then go grab a snack and sit at a table at Sunshine Seasons. It's usually not too crowded in that area, depending on where you're sitting. Good for people watching, good for watching for your party to come to get off the attraction. But it has a large selection. There's different stations where you can go get food. There's also some grab and go stations too, where they have Uncrustables or things like that for kids. And they also have a bakery counter where you can get cupcakes or baked items and some specialty desserts that they have. And they do have some seasonal items and options that they'll have for festivals or different times of the year. So I love the variety there. I love the location of it. I do wish it was still open for dinner. I think because probably that pavilion really empties out once it gets dark outside. There's not a lot of people inside of it unless they're going to Garden Grill or to Soarin'. But yeah, I think Sunshine Seasons is great. That's why it made number 5 for me.
So I wasn't aware that it wasn't open for dinner until I tried to go there for dinner at one point last year, and I was very sad. And I'll tell you when it
Yeah.
should be open for dinner. It's in December during Festival of the Holidays when the glimmering greenhouses are in full swing and have a 95-minute wait. That's when Sunshine Season
Yeah.
should be open for
That's a
dinner
good idea.
because they would fill it up and sell a whole lot of food, at least more grab and go items or something. But they usually have some specialty things there too, I think around times, depending of the different festivals. I think they have some little desserts and things, different kinds of themed
Mhm.
cupcakes and stuff there. So yeah, that's a good one. I love that restaurant.
Yeah,
It's a solid quick service restaurant. Good choice.
it is.
Good choice. All right. So my number 4 is actually I think as quick service as a quick service restaurant comes. And you're probably going to be surprised that I'm saying this because it's may not be something you would think I would list, but it is everything pop over there at Disney's Pop Century Resort, which is a just your standard quick service with different bays, with different types of food, but I think they have a great variety. And they also have one of my favorite desserts on property, which is the tie-dye cheesecake. So I have been a tie-dye cheesecake fan for many years. I remember the extreme sadness when they switched it from being the nice large slice of cake to the tiny little chintzy cheap thing in the circle little dish, which was not nearly as fun and quite lame. So thank goodness they switched it back to the nice large piece of cheesecake, full of, I'm sure, every unhealthy dye that it possibly can be filled with. But I'm here for it and I enjoy
Yeah.
it. So I think it's a great food court. It's super similar to the one at Art of Animation and then at the three all-star resorts. I appreciate all of the quick service options they have there. I guess because they figure the quick service guests are more likely to want, I mean, the value guests are more likely to want the quick service food just because of the cost factor of it. They have far more options at the value
Mhm.
resorts than they have at the deluxe and moderate resorts also. So I think it's a great option and it's not a bad choice if you're out there for a Skyliner ride and want to check it out. There's certainly places with better and fancier food, but you can find something for everyone at Everything Pop.
Yeah, that's a good one. My number 4 is actually a chain, and, it's gonna
Mm.
take us over to Disney Springs. So Disney
Why
Springs
though? Why are you doing that? Why is it a chain and why is it Disney Springs? Rachel, go ahead.
so I know. Well, anyways, this one we stop at every single, trip, and my husband stops there probably 3 or 4 times every single trip. This is Earl of Sandwich, located at Disney Springs, and you know what? It's a place that sells sandwiches or wraps or salads, but they're really good sandwiches, and we love them. They have some great desserts there too. They always have large brownies or rookies, which are the half cookie, half brownie, and we always stop by, grab some things. If I'm at Disney Springs and he's not because he's not into the shopping, then I'll go and get him a sandwich and take that back too. Or there have been times where we've left a park and he has actually mobile ordered because you can do that on their website, mobile ordered a
Okay.
sandwich and I will drop him off somewhere. He'll run and grab it
Wow.
and then pick him up and go back to the resort. Yes. So he is dedicated to
Okay.
Earl of Sandwich, but that would be my number 4 because it always makes an appearance in our trip somewhere.
All right. Well, if I ever need a gift for your husband, I guess I know what to send him, a gift card for Earl of Sandwich. All right. So my number 3 is in a park. It is in Epcot over in the American Adventure. It's the Regal Eagle Smokehouse. I'm an American girl. I love a good barbecue, and I think they do a great job with the variety and the options there at Regal Eagle. Now, when they first named it, I immediately thought of my favorite childhood TV show, Three's Company in the Regal Beagle Bar. That's what I think of every time that I
That's
hear the
funny.
name of this place. It's always what I have in mind. I thought Jack Tripper was the most hilarious person in the world when I was like 8 or 10 years old. I absolutely loved him. And I don't think I really understood the whole premise of the show and most of what was happening in it, but I knew about the Regal Beagle. So the Regal Eagle
Yeah.
is, I guess, next best thing for me. So I love to get the brisket sandwich and the side of mac and cheese. I think it's delicious. It's well beyond a typical theme park food of burgers and fries, and they have a s'mores brownie there. That's also delicious. So if I'm there at a time of year that there isn't a festival, which I know is rare, or that I just don't have time to stand in long lines for a festival that day, or that I just need to be in out of the weather, whatever the weather may be, Regal Eagle Smokehouse is where I will be if I'm in Epcot. So it's one of my
It's
favorites.
a good one. And it's also an easy place to go into and refill a water bottle if you want to, because they do have the
Mhm.
freestanding machines located inside. Also has a lot of seating too, so that's nice. My number 3 takes me to Animal Kingdom, and that is Yak and Yeti.
I thought we
Oh,
were gonna have the same one, but we do not. Okay.
okay. Well, we probably will at some point if you're going with that with for Animal Kingdom. But Yak and Yeti Local Foods Cafe. So this is located in the Asia area, close to Yak and Yeti. It's close over in that section. And this is Asian inspired bowls, kind of stir fry type meals. But we like to sit over here. There's some tables that are overlooking the water that you can get to. There's a larger seating area behind the restaurant, but there are if you go across the walkway, there are some tables along the water. So we usually like to go get our bowl and go sit along the water where it's nice and quiet and relax there and enjoy a meal. But always had a great meal there. It's always very fast and typically doesn't have too long of a line to wait in. So I like Yak and Yeti Local Foods Cafe a whole lot.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stay right there with you in Animal Kingdom, but I'm hopping over to Pandora to Satuli Canteen, which is a new love of mine because I admit when it first opened, there was nothing on their menu that seemed appealing to me because I'm a pretty plain eater. But in recent years, I've discovered I can customize their fancy food to be plain and boring, just like I love it. And you can basically get a very similar option to the noodles from Ohana with some grilled chicken on it, nice and plain and absolutely delicious, just what I love. So, people have told me that you can mobile order it to special order. I have never successfully done that to have it made the way I wanted. So, I'll just go in and wait in the line. Oftentimes, it's faster than the mobile order because sometimes the wait until you could even get to your time, like your arrival time is so far out. It's just faster to get in the line. So, there is just a regular counter area that you can go inside and if they ask you if your order's ready, just say, no, I'm going to order at the counter and they'll show you where to go there. Like you had mentioned about Regal Eagle, they have the refill stations in there also. So it's a great place to refill your water, or they do have fountain beverages that you could purchase a cup for as well. So, again, nice seated area with air conditioning. And I just really love the grilled chicken and the noodles, but plain. I don't need any of their sauces. If you want something fancier, they've got a million options. And they also have cheeseburger pods there, which I'm not a fan
Mhm.
of, but my kids absolutely love them. So if we're in Animal Kingdom, chances are we're going to be swinging by there. So that's my number two.
Well, that made my list, so I'll go ahead and mention that one too. So yeah, so
Okay.
Tule Canteen, I've had the cheeseburger pies, which I enjoy those, but the bowls also where you can get different types of meat to go on top, different, just things that it's in, whether grain or noodles and then different sauces. So I like to mix it up every time that I'm there and just try something different because all of it sounds appealing and good to me. But yeah, I like it. There's also a lot of seating outside. They have big tables outside where you can have, and it seems crowded outside. I don't know what it is. Outside always just seems crowded to me, but inside's
It's
usually not
people
too
waiting.
bad.
It's people
Yeah.
waiting for people on Flight of Passage. I know this
Yeah.
because I'm usually one of those people waiting for people on Flight of Passage. I cannot ride that ride. It makes me so nauseated. And I've tried it more than once. The last time I did it, it was a day that I was so fortunate to be along with a group on a guided VIP tour. And that was the first ride we were going to ride. And I said to myself, Missy, don't miss out on the experience. Go with the group and just enjoy it and don't freak yourself out about the motion. So I went and I rode it and I felt sick for the whole rest of the tour. And I said, gosh darn you,
Oh,
Flight of
no.
Passage. I'm never riding you again. And I hate you.
Never
So I
again.
will park myself outside Satuli Canteen and I will wait for our party there from now on,
That's
which is kind of what got me in there looking at the chicken and noodles because I kept smelling it as I was sitting there and it smelled amazing. But yeah,
it is
that's
very
it's
good. Yeah.
and there's a bathroom right there also. So I think it's just kind of
Yeah.
like an easy, distinguishable place for families to gather. So it may look busier on the outside than what it really is on the inside.
Yes. All right, so now we're down to your number 1, so what do you have for number 1?
My number one is actually at a resort hotel. It is Roaring Fork over at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. And I love this for a few reasons. First of all, sentimental reasons, just because we stayed there many times when I had a young family and my kiddos were little, and we had a lot of fun there. In the afternoons, they'll do cookie decorating at 2 o'clock, and it's just usually quiet and peaceful there. But we also will take a ride from the boat over at Magic Kingdom sometimes there to take a break from the park and have lunch. There's no one meal that I think is super outstanding. They do have some different barbecue options there, things kind of similar to what you'd experience up at Whispering Canyon Cafe in the Wilderness Main Lodge area there, the Wilderness Lodge main lobby. They have magic cookie bars, which I absolutely love. I think I've talked about them here before. They're my favorite dessert at Disney. They're extremely sugary and unhealthy, I'm sure. But they do have a separate granola option that's somewhat similar to it there. I had that there last month. It's not as good as the super sweet one, but I just love it there. I love the ambiance of it. It's just a relaxing area. They have the outdoor seating. out by the pool also. So it's just my go-to place if I need a quick service there. Anywhere at Disney World, if I'm not in a park, then that's probably what I'm going to choose.
That is a wonderful one. Of course, Wilderness Lodge is one of my favorite resorts too, so that is a fun one to go to. So, my number 1 takes me back to Epcot, and
Okay.
that is La Cantina de San Angel over in the
Oh, yeah.
Mexico Pavilion. So,
Mhm.
this is located across from where the temple structure is, which is the inside where you have the actual San Angel Inn. But the cantina there is a quick service location, and it's usually pretty popular, and especially at night. It gets very popular at night. The line gets really long. It has wonderful seating right there along the water. During lunch, you can actually go inside to where the other restaurant is a table service restaurant in the Mexico Pavilion is located. You can use the tables in there during lunchtime. It's quick service. You need to clean up after yourself and everything, but you can use those. But this is if you are lucky enough to get a table at the water before the nighttime show starts, you can actually view the show. Have a great viewing area from there. But I love the menu there. They have chicken tenders too for kids if they are not too adventurous in their food. But I've always really enjoyed everything that I've had there and just the whole vibe and environment of being in World Showcase. I think this is a fantastic option for being in World Showcase. A lot of seating, a lot of counters to order at. This is a really good one if you are looking to get something to eat before you start venturing into World Showcase or
Okay.
after.
Solid choice. Good, authentic choice for World Showcase. Way more adventurous than the American Adventure. I'll give you that, but still.
The Wrigley Eagle is still good.
All right. That was a good top five. I like that. Very good. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
This seems to happen a lot
Yeah.
at the top five.
So, our listener question of today that comes in, our listener asked, is it better to rent a scooter at the park or should I do a long term rental for the week? So, Missy, what do you think?
I think that so many of our listener questions result in me saying, well, it depends on your situations. And this is one of those times. If you're somebody who is only going to need a scooter in the park and may not need it all day and you can do without it, then it's fine to just go ahead and get one when you arrive there in the morning. But keep in mind, if you rent it daily at the Disney park, it's going to work like their stroller rentals do. You don't get it until you're in the park, and they are first come, first serve, so they may sell out. You're not guaranteed to be able to get one. You may also spend a lot of time standing and waiting in the line to get that scooter at the start of the day and to return it at the end of the day. And keep in mind, you're not going to have it to get to whatever form of Disney transportation you're using either. So, getting to the bus stop or the monorail, if you're going to need it for that at the end of a long day, you may just be better off to go ahead and do the weekly rental. That way, you're guaranteed to have it, and you don't have to worry about spending your precious park time during the open park hours to be able to be in a line to pick up and return the scooter.
I would agree with that. And I would also mention that if you decide to do a long term rental, there is only one company that is authorized by Disney to drop off scooters with Bell Services. And there are several companies that you can rent from, but all the other companies, you do have to designate a time where you will meet them at the front of the resort where the lobby is located, usually just right outside the lobby doors, to pick up your scooter from them and to drop it off. But these companies do have very flexible times and they're very great at communicating with guests who do rent from them to let them know, hey, we're on our way, we're here, we're waiting in the lobby, we'll be wearing this. So just keep that in mind that there's only one company that is authorized to do that. So this may involve you changing your schedule around a little bit to make sure that you can be there to pick up or drop off your scooter rental. All right. If you have a question that you would like to have answered, please, there's a couple of ways that you can send one to us. You can email us at a disneylife at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com. We are also on several social media channels. We have a YouTube. We also have TikTok and Instagram. Our handle on TikTok and Instagram is a Disney Life Pod. We also have a Facebook group where we post frequently, and we would love to interact with all of you there. So, our tip for the week going back to quick service dining locations, however, going to one that did not make either one of our lists, but I know it's one that is very near and dear to our hearts, and this is Columbia Harbor House located inside of the Magic Kingdom. If you did not know, there is actually seating upstairs at Columbia Harbor House. So, if you're looking for a nice, quiet place to sit and enjoy a meal, maybe decompress from the crowds, or have a nice, quiet place for the kids, head upstairs, or away from kids too. Head upstairs at Columbia Harbor House. house. There are great locations. If you're sitting along the window, you have a great view of people watching over out into Liberty Tree Square and into Fantasyland. So that's one of my favorite places. Just kind of go and sit in some quiet and enjoy a meal there. And that's all we've got for today. Missy, thank you for joining with us to talk about new, old, or old new Fantasyland. I don't know, or just
Whatever
Fantasyland.
whatever it is, it's a magical time, right?
Yes, it sure is. Absolutely. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.